If you were to ask me what my favorite film version of Sherlock Holmes is, my answer would have to be 1988's Without a Clue. That is an answer that is sometimes met with confusion though, as not many have heard of this movie, which is a real shame, because I have always found it to be one of the most creative, fun, and inventive adaptations of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's work, mainly because it's not your typical Sherlock Holmes story. I guess it's not really a Sherlock Holmes story at all. It's actually a John Watson story, and an almost cult classic. The premise of Without a Clue asks a very simple, yet incredibly compelling question. What if Dr. John Watson, the longtime sidekick of the famous detective, was actually the brains of the operation, and Sherlock Holmes was a character that he created in order to sell more novels?
You idiot! What? Confound you!
What did I say? Watson, what did I say wrong? I did everything you said, exactly as you said it.
Well, Without a Clue gives us that answer. John Watson, played here by Ben Kingsley, is the true mastermind detective. He originally created the Holmes character as a way to solve crimes incognito, while concentrating on his medical studies at the same time. He eventually had to employ a washed-up theater actor named Reginald Kincaid, played by Michael Caine, to act out the Sherlock Holmes part in public.
That was very interesting, actually. There was fresh dirt in the building next door. Fresh dirt.
Would you like to elaborate on that, sir?
It was an elementary deduction based on the clues at hand.
The only problem for Watson is the Holmes character quickly became a national sensation, and Watson finds himself forced to work with the alcoholic, egotistical Kincaid in order to be taken seriously in society.
Are we talking of the same man who once declared with total conviction that the late Colonel Howard had been bludgeoned to death by a blunt excrement?
Is it my fault if you have such poor handwriting?
Most of the humor in the film comes from their dynamic, with Watson being the straight man to this fake Sherlock Holmes.
Listen, you hear those footsteps? I'd say this was a woman about 5 feet 5, weight about 12.5 stone, age 54. Voila.
Michael Caine and Ben Kingsley are also great in this movie. For playing characters that had been adapted to the screen countless times prior, they find a way to make their relationship feel like it's the first time it's put on screen, which again is aided by the writing and the clever story.
Excuse me, sir. How are things on the subcontinent?
I beg your pardon.
You are a reporter just back from India, are you not?
I'm a barrister, and I've never been to India in my life.
But you do read the Times.
Of course.
There you have it. By card.
Early in the film, Watson finds himself finally fed up with Kincaid's behavior and fires him, deciding to come clean about his work.
Mr. Holmes, did he send you here?
He certainly did not.
Well, perhaps the next time you should check with him first, eh? Save yourself a trip.
But when the British government shows up willing to hire Holmes, and Holmes only, to solve a major case, Watson must bring his famous creation out of retirement, which for Kincaid is the local pub.
I have been able to deduce the identity of the fiend who pinched you. Me! Did it again!
Kincaid has also found himself in an equally difficult position, as he owes money all over town and no one else is willing to hire him.
I want you to come back.
Like I predicted, you need me.
I do not need you.
What are you here for? I didn't call for you.
All right, I need you for this one blasted time.
One time, that's all.
So these two have to let bygones be bygones and team up for one last case together before they agree to go their separate ways. They just have to try not to kill each other first.
So why don't you tell me the details and omit nothing? Watson, pay close attention.
Do you know what these are?
I do. So do I.
The plate for the Bank of England's £5 note.
Undoubtedly.
Oh, very good imitations.
Precisely.
Exactly.
Indeed. Well, now that's cleared that up. How about that whiskey?
A damsel in distress soon shows up to complicate the matter, as the womanizing Kincaid falls for her quickly.
Woo! What was that?
What?
Most of the Sherlock Holmes regulars also make an appearance. Pat Caine plays Mrs. Hudson.
He's been at it again.
I never liked that woman.
Jeffrey Jones plays Lestrade.
Don't touch that! There may be fingerprints.
I'm surprised this is the first time that Jeffrey Jones has popped up in one of these Almost Cult Classics videos, because he was in so many of these type of movies. So I'll just use this as a chance to say it's a real shame that Jeffrey Jones turned out to be, well, Jeffrey Jones. Because he was a great character actor, and he's pretty fun in this movie.
Too bad.
And Paul Freeman is Moriarty. It's so fun to watch Holmes and Watson play off all of these characters, especially knowing the secret of their relationship.
You, sir, remind me of someone I once encountered during the curious affair of the Manchurian Mambo.
Holmes, could I have a word?
Yes?
I believe that was the Manchurian Mamba, Holmes.
Mambo, what's the difference?
Oh, very little, other than one is a deadly poisonous snake, and the other is a rather festive Caribbean dance.
It was a night just like any other, when someone knocked at the door. I opened it, and there were these Manchurians, doing this rather festive Caribbean dance.
Caine and Kingsley continue to give us wonderful comedic scenes involving their characters, with a relationship that evolves throughout the film.
Yes? It is my opinion that he is dead.
He's a genius.
I don't want to give too much more away about the plot, because it really ends up becoming an intriguing mystery story in its own right. It's a story where every thread set up is later paid off, as Kincaid has to become the great actor he was meant to be to help solve the case, while Watson must learn to accept his famous creation. For reasons I can't quite figure out, this movie was a critical and commercial flop, which again is a real shame because I think that led a lot of people to sleep on this movie. I know this movie has a few different titles depending on which country you're in, and there were also a ton of different marketing posters which I don't think helped the case. Pun not intended there. Some of these posters are just really odd. But it's a really wonderful mystery film, and the best comedic take on the characters of Sherlock Holmes and John Watson, even if that bar was recently set pretty low.
You know what? I find to take the most attractive photographs, you need to purse your lips together like a duck-billed platypus.
Platypus face, chins up.
In my last Almost Cult Classics review, it was pointed out to me that the movie I talked about, Dutch, is out of print and really expensive to get. So I made sure that this one is readily available on DVD and Blu-ray, and I really recommend picking up a copy.
What about another drink, Mr. Holmes?
Gentlemen, I have to be up early tomorrow, and I need all my wits about me. Perhaps just one.
Thanks for watching this episode of Almost Cult Classics. We just released a new podcast discussion on our separate Almost Cult Classics podcast channel, which we discuss 1990's Quick Change, a really interesting Bill Murray movie that Bill Murray also co-directed. So go check that out, the link is here, and stay tuned for more Almost Cult Classics.